Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast for our final segment of the day, where we are going to be breaking down the weekend series between the Boston Red Sox and Baltimore Orioles. This was a 4-game series that kicked off last Thursday and finished up over the weekend, and this marks a stretch here for the Red Sox where they have a number of playoff opponents ahead on the schedule. It was going straight from here into a couple series against the Houston Astros and the Arizona Diamondbacks. All of this while the Red Sox are back in the wild card spot. So this was for the series and still is a very important stretch for the Red Sox to keep their head above the water if they want to make the playoffs. And ultimately, a series split is kind of just about as good as you could have asked for. You look up and down, and we're going to get into some of the pitching matchups specifically, but for the Red Sox, just very much outmatched on the starting pitching front. And so to be able to take 2 out of these games is sort of a testament to how well the offense has been producing. Now, I know they were just about silent for 2 of the games in this series, so I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but specifically I'm looking at Game 2, the matchup, basically a bullpen game for the Boston Red Sox, with Brennan Bernardino starting for them versus Corbin Burnes, who is undoubtedly going to be as long as he remains healthy, I would say a finalist for the American League Cy Young Award. And they ended up giving Burnes his worst start of the season, where Burnes at this point, I think the most earned runs that he had allowed in a single game up to this point all year was 4. And the Red Sox ended up jumping him, got him for a season shortest, just 4 innings pitched, 10 hits, 3 walks, 8 earned runs, and was, again, the shortest start of his season and the most earned runs of his season. So Red Sox were able to jump him. Even then, it took a lot to be able to actually pull off this game. I end up winning 12-10 in what was just such a back and forth affair between the 2 of them. That was a game that was incredibly taxing, obviously, considering that it was a bullpen game. Bernardino didn't even make it out of the first inning. You have Cooper Criswell eating some innings there for the Sox as well, causing a little bit of scares there. 6 earned runs in that game, taking on a little bit more of the bulk, though, with 3 1/3 innings pitched. And I think that, ultimately, like I said, very deep into the bullpen. I believe they used 8 arms in this game, and it took all of the offense they could possibly muster to be able to put up the 12 runs that was enough to win this game. But a very exciting part of this game as well was the fact that Triston Casas made his return from injury. Casas had been out with a rib strain since late April. Now, they had to DFA Dom Smith in order to make this deal happen, which, as a Red Sox fan, I had grown to love Dom Smith so much. So I was pretty devastated when the news first broke, but ultimately just wasn't really a roster spot for him. And after seeing Casas get some looks over the course of this series, I definitely, as much as I will never forget you, Dom Smith, for the legend that you were during this short period of time, definitely kept the Red Sox alive in some instances. But Casas is the future, and he made a couple nice defensive plays early on in Game 2, ultimately had a pretty productive offensive series as well, and the lineup just looks so much better with him in it. I was really impressed with what we saw from him in a pretty small sample size of just 3 games, but definitely had me excited for the future a little bit more in that one. But Game 2, I mentioned all of the arms that were used in order to survive that game, because that's literally what it was surviving despite having all of the offense in the world, really. It took everything in them to be able to stay alive in that. Game 3 was going to take a very important Brian Bayo outing to be able to actually hang in there for some good time and be able to, relieve the bullpen of some innings. And ultimately, Bayo was very incredible, I thought, in this game. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 walks, don't love that, but just 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. It was really just the Gunnar Henderson solo shot, and that was the first hit of the game, which took place, I believe that was in the 5th inning? It was in the 6th inning, and then right after that, he started to stumble into a little bit of issues there as well, allowed a couple hits, but was able to settle himself back down, use the mound meeting with the staff there and Andrew Bailey, and ultimately got himself back down, was able to, I think it was Anthony Santander that he ended up striking out there, and was able to survive there and finish off the inning, which was so needed for the Red Sox. So they and then the other part of that game as well that I think is very notable is Cade Povich, who is the number 5 Orioles prospect according to Baseball America, that he probably played his best professional major league game yet, where I thought that Povich was actually very good in this one. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, did allow two earned runs in that final inning where, he sort of started to come apart a little bit, but just the very key difference for him was for the Red Sox was that Povich sort of dealing, as a lefty starting pitcher, that has been one of the Achilles heels of the Red Sox all season long. And then once Povich ends up getting pulled in that 7th inning, they bring in a right-hander in Yennier Cano, and they start to tee off on him. You see Devers and Yoshida, they all start to sort of put up runs. And by the way, one last thing on Povich as well. I know it's a lefty-lefty matchup, but I was definitely intrigued when the Orioles decided to leave Povich out there for Devers' 3rd at-bat. Just letting Devers see, anybody 3 times feels a little bit risky, but Povich handled his business, I thought. So that was definitely, if you're an Orioles fan, got to feel pretty confident about that. But again, Sox, once the right-hander comes in, they start putting up the offense. They end up winning that game 5-1. But outside of those 2 games, it was a pretty quiet offensive series for the Red Sox. They end up splitting. Again, though, kind of feel like I didn't get to see quite as much of Sunday's game with everything that was going on. I know they had their chances, and it's frustrating there, especially when the Sox are able to sort of get through those first few innings and feel like they maybe have some opportunities, but not being able to take 3 out of 4 against the Orioles would have been a massive morale boost. But even still, again, I think the name of the game right now is for the Red Sox is they cannot be losing series. Winning series is obviously where you want to be at, and to some degree, you can make the argument that just about every game is must-win for the Red Sox at this point. But there is still, a month and some change left of this 2024 regular season that the Red Sox, they just need to be trending in the positive direction and, not letting themselves get spaced out too much. As much as I mentioned, the Red Sox are in the middle of this stretch against a number of playoff teams. Following that, they have the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Mets are a solid team there, but then the White Sox after that, and during that stretch, during that same timeline, I think that the Kansas City Royals are supposed to be playing basically all playoff teams for that 3-week stretch. The Sox are currently 3.5 games back of the Royals, but that is where, they are definitely going to need to take advantage, try and make up as much room as they possibly can, because the Red Sox are technically in this thing, but they don't have a lot of wiggle room. And now they're signing a 44-year-old, I think that's how old he is, Rich Hill, to try and, eat up some innings for them. And that's just the state of where the Red Sox are at right now and their pitching staff in particular. So I don't exactly have the highest of hopes for the Red Sox to be able to, stay all that alive in this race. But this is a lineup now, especially with Casas back in the mix. Tyler O'Neill as well returning from the IL. He had a leg infection. With those bats back in the lineup, I mean, this is absolutely a group of hitters that deserve chances in the postseason and could be able to get hot at the right time. But ultimately, this season was never about the Red Sox making the playoffs in particular, but it's there. Got to go for it. That's what the best organizations do. You have Alex Cora signed to this new contract. Push your chips in and go get it. But might be too much to overcome on the pitching front in order to fully have that play out, but time will tell. And again, very important stretch right now. They kick off a series against the Houston Astros tonight. Going to be important in these next few weeks to really decide, are the Red Sox serious? We've seen them hanging around in postseason contention into August for the past few years, and we've seen them fall off a cliff from there. This is the time the Red Sox need to take advantage, but will they have the gas to be able to hold on? Not sure. We will see. But that is all the time we have for our show today. Thank you very much for tuning into the GSMC Sports Podcast. Thank you to the GSMC Sports Network for allowing us to host this show. Remember to like, follow, subscribe wherever you keep up with us. Be sure to check us out on social media as well for more exclusive short content. And we will be back tomorrow afternoon, same time as always, at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern. You can catch us then. Take care. We will see you then.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.